Hi everyone, it's Jeanette here from the Sewing Studio with a big smile on my face because I've been working with the new Tilda fabrics, the Something Blue range, which is something a little bit different for Tilda, isn't it? Just with the sort of the two colourways, or little pops of sort of peachy colours in there as well. But I've been having a fabulous time having a go at one of her free patterns that's on her website, which is the Ginger Jar. Now the first thing I'm going to share with you is how I cut out the centre. Sorry, let me just bring that in again, because I wanted this motif of the elephant fairly central into my jar. I didn't want it off to one side and sort of make it look a bit unbalanced. So I'm going to show you how I fussy cut that one, and then we're also going to have a look at the curved piecing, and then we'll talk about the top and the bottom of the Ginger Jar. So I'm now working on the lighter version of the two. I've got my notes there to make sure that I cover all the points I want to tell you all. So this is the piece I'm doing here now, and the bit I'm doing is with the vase. Now you can see I've put one side of the curved piecing on just to save a little bit of time, but I also, like the elephant, I wanted this fairly central in the jar. I didn't want sort of those vases to be off to the side. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So this is the template. Let's just remove my little yellow sticky as a little reminder for myself, that you get in the pattern. And I've underscored the fact that that's the top, because I did cut it upside down once. And then of course my vases were upside down. It's not symmetrical. The top and the bottom are slightly different sizes. So you do have to make sure you get the template the right way round. So learn from my mistakes there. So what I did to get that jar in the center is I'm going to get my piece of fabric and I'm going to measure my motif. And that one comes out at 4.5, and I'm measuring it across the width. I'm not so worried about the height. I can sort of judge that in a minute. So I want to find sort of 2.25, which will be the center of that vase. And then once I found that 2.25, I just put a little mark on the fabric, and then I just folded it, because you need to cut that on the fold. So my fold there is 2.25 inches in from the edge of that vase. So let me just put that under the close-up so you can see the half of the vase there. And then what I can do is get this. Now I've measured the height of that and it's 7.5 inches. So I know my center point will be 3 3/4. So I can find or eyeball the center of that design and measure up 3 3/4. So I'm just eyeballing what looks to me to be the center of the jar, and then I'm going to go up 3 3/4 and make a little mark. So there's my little 3 3/4 mark there. So I know now if I place that against that line and against that fold, when I cut that out, that vase motif should be fairly central, if not bang in the center of my design. Now I'm not going to take the time to do that now, but I just thought I would show you. And then once you do that, you're just going to pin. Now I pin with flathead pins. I will make one cut just to show you for why I put the flathead pins in. So once I've got some pins in there, now once again, I'm just going to check that that top is definitely at the top of my fabric. So that's why I did a little red underscore there. And then to cut that out now, to cut the two, because these are two straight sides, so I cut those with my ruler. Now you could scissor cut round it all. So I'm going to line one of the lines on my ruler with the fold of the fabric. And then those two sides I'm going to be able to cut off like that. So then all I'm going to have to do, either with the rotary cutter or with my scissors, is just go around the curve. But you can see there what I mean about it not being symmetrical. At the top, that finishes there, and down the bottom, the finish point. So let me just show you there. And at the bottom, it's out here. So it's not symmetrical top and bottom. And that's why it's important you get the top at the top and the bottom at the bottom. So that's just the fussy cut bit in terms of cutting that out. So let's just set that aside for the moment and talk about the curved piecing. Now Tilda gives you all the measurements for all the bits you need to cut, and she suggests that you cut your curved piece bit. So these are the two pieces for curved piecing. They also come out on the same template. It's all on one piece of paper and you can cut it all out. Just, you know, make sure you're as accurate as you can be. But you can see here the dash lines are going to be the finished size, and this is the cut size. So what I did, and this might be a little bit confusing, but rather than pinning, and you could pin it again, but here I felt it was getting a sort of a little bit narrow and the pins were going to get in the way. So I actually took both of my pieces and I turned them upside down. You've got to just make sure that these pieces are mirror image. But if we turn both of the fabrics upside down, because what I'm going to do is actually glue that, but I didn't want glue on the front of the fabric. So I turned it upside down and I glued my shape on. So I'm just doing this one. But because we've done it to both, we will still get our mirror image. So it makes no difference, the fact that I'm now cutting on the back of the fabric. I hope that hasn't confused anybody. But that just will perfectly line up with the rectangular fabric she suggested you cut out in her cutting instructions. So now we're going to cut that, and I'm just going to show you my little technique for cutting this. Now I do it with a rotary cutter, and you just go sort of slow and smooth. If you prefer to do it with scissors, by all means do it with scissors, but I thought I would just share with you this little technique. So the trick is I'm going to turn the fabric. So here we go. So I'm just going to keep a nice even pressure, take it nice and slowly, and then as I'm moving, you can see I'm rotating. And this is a little bit harder for me because I'm stood a little bit further away than I would be at home, just so that I'm not getting in the way of the camera. So you can see there I've got a really nice curve, and that's much easier than trying to get your rotary cutter around there. So it's the same principle as I said, cutting a circle with scissors. You move the paper, not the scissors. So move the fabric, and there's our piece all cut out. So that's just a little tip of getting that curve nice. But I say, if you're more comfortable with scissors, by all means use scissors. Now in the instructions, Tilda will tell you to place this. I'm just going to check which is the right side and which is the wrong side. That's the right side. Yep, so the longer piece, and you can tell which is the top. The top has a longer piece here than the bottom. So she says to put this flat edge against the flat edge here. So that's where our curve starts there. So that flat edge needs to go there. So I'm going to just pin that there for the moment. Actually, I'm not. Before I start, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm just going to find the middle, because I actually put an extra mark in. So I just found the middle of the fabric there. Now I'm going to line up that edge with there, and I'm going to find the center of my shape. I'm then going to pin that center. Now I don't think in the instructions she said about finding the middle, but I just found it more helpful so I can make sure I had the same amount of fabric on either side, rather than trying to, I think she just says to pin at the start and at the end, and then do your pins all the way around. So that's my center mark. And then the bottom here again, this flat bit goes along the flat edge of the jar. So the secret to the curve piecing, pin, pin and more pins. I know some people just sort of put it there and sew round. I never get a good result if I do that. I'm much better if I pin. So we're now just going to, and this is a little bit fiddly, but just take your time. We're now just going to line up the edges. And we can get out lots of pins. And it's a bit like when we're setting a sleeve into a garment. You just have to sort of ease it in. It doesn't always sit flat the first time. Sometimes you have to just do a little bit of adjustment. That's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to quietly, and just having that middle one means that I know I'm not, I don't want those big pins. I'm not going off kilter. And you can see there, that last bit, I can just ease together and pin to keep it in place. Now it's very narrow here, and the other thing I would say, there's no room for error. This fits exactly, and you don't have much space between your curved piecing. You've just got a little bit more than your 1/4 of an inch. So you do have to be a little bit precise, which is also why I think it's got the difficulty rating. But like I say, just definitely give it a practice on a scrap bit of fabric first, because you'll definitely learn from doing it once. So that's what it looks like. So you can see how many pins have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 pins. But, you know, I'm happy with that, because if that gives me a better result, then, you know, I'll use 50 pins if I need to. Okay, so we're at the sewing machine now, so I'm going to start. Now, a handy tool to have is a stiletto. If you haven't got a stiletto or a little, this is actually an awl. You can use your seam ripper. Sometimes you just need something that can help the fabric through, and your fingers sort of don't get there very well. So I've got my little awl next to me. That might be a handy little thing. Now I'm just going to start. I'm going to take that first pin out once it's under the machine. And I'm just going to take a couple of stitches. I'm going to slow my machine right down, because slow and steady is the order of the day. Now, just one other thing. I've actually reduced my stitch length slightly. I normally piece in a 2.0. I've actually gone down to a 1.8. I think when you're going around a curve, a smaller stitch can help. So let's just grab my pin there, because I've got 14 pins to take out. Now you can see, as I've started, I've just put some tension on the fabric. I'm not really pulling it, but I'm just putting some tension on the fabric, because that then makes it lie really flat. So we're just going to keep that bar on the outside and just go around. Now I've got to that pin, so I'm going to take it out, and then just making sure everything is flat here where the needle's going to go. I'm not worried about what's happening out here. And you're just looking at the next little inch that you're sewing. Now I'm seeing that fabric has just moved away from the edge a little bit, so I'm going to just use my awl there just to help hold it. Now this is the trickiest bit here, where it gets narrow. So just take your time, using my awl again. And you can see how slow I'm going. So there we are, that's what it looks like. Now when we press, we're going to press, I found it sat flatter if I pressed under this small piece that we've pieced. So if I just sort of show you there, that seam there is going out. So there we are, there's the curved seam that we've just put in, and you can just see by keeping it nice and flat we haven't got any tucks or folds in that. So it's literally just take your time. The shorter stitch length I think helps go around that curve. Use the pins and then use something just to make sure that those edges are meeting and everything, and just concentrate literally just a little bit at a time. Don't think you need to sort of have eyeballing that whole seam all at once. So that's how we put the curved piece in. So just take your time, a little bit difficult, but not impossible. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you do give curved piecing a go. It's not as intimidating as some people think. It does just take a little bit of practice and a little bit of patience. But thank you for your time today, and please do join us here again next time in the sewing studio.